Beautiful, attractive, aesthetic. This is the topic of discussion. Man, I wish I knew what beauty was before the world altered my perception into this twisted mess of advertisements and big chests with Beyonce as the goal and girls working their whole lives to be a perfect porcelain doll. What we think is beautiful may have changed over time, but the connotation that it arrives is still the same. Beauty turns you into an object, something for someone to collect. Everyone is failing at this concept of beauty, and those that succeed cease to be human any longer. Somehow the beautiful people are stronger, living their lives carefree, but I argue the contrary. We all break just the same. The ancient Egyptian queen Cleopatra would play the part, and know her beauty could win any heart. With a smile and a wink, her power to seduce much stronger than you'd think. He thought that he could own her, hold her, and know her more than any of those other men thought they could, with that charming smile and pleasing look she gave to him, knowing full well the intention and plan of this man in her bedchamber. Another attempt to tame her, shame her, make her an object of his passionate thrust. But he was entirely unaware. He was just another piece in the chess game she would always win. The sin of skin and touch, this lust he would pour upon her soul, and know forevermore in his heart that he could never love again. Oh man, she just won again. The points all add up, and they are also willing to give her the world. She could command them to jump off the edge of the palace or drink from her poisoned chalice just to win her favor. To savor her sweet kisses and coy touch, to make meaning out of their hushed whispers under the sheets at night. Love would blind their sight. Her betrayal would be a shock, like a rock being thrown at a glass pane, a foaming of anger and pain from their very throats. None of her empathy would be for them, though. She gave it up along the path to glory and fame, the way her family had taught her they were all just the same. A flurry of hate and tears, the fighting for insurmountable years. Cheers rushed out from the crowd. Her heartbeat was explosive, it pulsed so loud, she couldn't hear the admiration, but rather the annihilation of her sweet Antony. She had lost her grip on power. That sweet taste of wine and nectar turned bitter and sour. She was out of control. After selling her soul, she would fight with passion till the end. The bite of a serpent to wrap it all up in a pretty bow for the gods, to look down and pity her foolish heart for trying so hard for something that could never last. Now just a memory of years long past, it had ended so fast for our dear Cleopatra. Her power was gone with the death of her kings. Her image consisted of a list of things. Click, click, snap goes the shutter of a camera lens affixed to her frame. They all came to see her and call her name, the model with a face like silk and skin like milk, with eyes as blue as the clearest skies and a skirt that stopped at mid-thigh. Any guy could see it was Bettie Page. She smelled sweet, like lavender, sage, and honey, too, like a flower adorned with fresh dew, and they all knew just how sweet she could be behind the lens of a camera. Inhibitionless and aching for more, she shed her skin on the studio floor, exposing herself. Not just her flesh, but something much more, the indescribable beauty that lay beneath her chest, her heart. But this wasn't the start. No one at first could see her heart. They saw her skin, her shape, the way her silk nightgown perfectly draped across her hips, the seductive power of her burgundy lips, and much more. To them, she was nothing but a model whore, an object to photograph and run away. She loved the attention, but it never stayed, and so she paid the price of loneliness. She began to self-reflect, to detect every flaw. She saw what she thought they saw. Self-loathing soon devoured her, inside and out. The heart that she once showed off with such beauty and pride, she was forced to hide. Darkness had corrupted it. Turned it from truth and beauty to shit. She soon quit, posing for the camera lens. The men that had admired her before kicked her out the front door. Her fragile psyche would break. Millions of pieces on the floor. She was their model whore no more. What was left of her core would be left to be desired, but the Betty I saw I would always adore. Her husbands abandoned her and took back their rings. Her image consisted of a list of things. Fire is what she was. Uncontrollable and untamed, but you could sit back and admire the flame as it danced and ebbed in the night. And you could try your best to hold her tight, but you would only get burnt in the end. And she could lend you a bit of her light if you treated her right and promise not to smother, hover over her wistful glow. But who could ever truly know the wonderful Marilyn Monroe? The platinum blonde with grace and charm everlasting, a true delight on any casting, she was the original girl on fire. Giving rise to a new empire, she sat on the throne. Under her skin, that light still shone, and they wanted to own her. Or should I say, bone her, a sexual object for them to reign, all for their own personal gain. But did they care about the emotional pain and scars as she sat in the back of the Rolls-Royce cars with sunglasses to cover her eyes? Feeding her the countless lies about their devotion and care when she would soon be used up and thrown out there to the cold. Her light was stolen, ripped from her grasp, her beauty and class a thing of the past. She had no escape, not in this realm at least. So she would take the pills and find her release, seeing how deep the rabbit hole goes. The depression that festers, no one would know. She stands in the middle of a crowd and feels so alone. Barbiturates would numb that pain. While she stood in the rain of her own tears falling, the crowd shouting, her light fading, enumerating the thoughts that coursed through her mind. Her dreams were a sanctuary from waking life. She tried to reclaim it and reignite her light, but it didn't belong to her anymore. Maybe if she takes just one more, she can bend the fabric of time and space, give her a home and wonderful place to lay her head. No more tears to be shed, she could be happy once more. Never forgotten, her structure now buried, but a piece of that light we now all carry. She is a legend, an icon, and time has only reinforced that. She redefined what we think of as skinny and fat. The beauty ideal has morphed around her image, the Marilyn standard in intellectual scrimmage. Pictures of her used to decorate my room, a living recreation of Marilyn's tomb. She has been stuck in the ethereal plane ever since she passed. Her beauty had no choice but to always last. We have become obsessed with the idea of Marilyn Monroe. We still want to steal that glow. She has been dead since a long time ago, but we haven't let her go. No, we have clung to the movies and photographs of the past. Her fame unsurpassed, she deserves to move on at long last. So put away the records and the way she sings. Her beauty consisted of a list of things. If beauty is in the eye of the beholder, then why do all of the beautiful people look the same? Slim waist, tiny necks, veneer smiles like all the rest. Six-pack abs, chiseled jaws. To be beautiful, you have to follow their laws. Pretty faces never ail. They are objects without adversity and probably going to some fancy place like Soka University. When that 1 out of 6 billion is the ideal, in a world where their image isn't entirely real, we force our bodies into their mold, like we can be melted and smelted to gold. How many women in the world can even compare to these women so high up on their pedestals? Would anyone even come close to a second place medal? The beauty standard itself is ugly because it takes away from the differences we have as human beings. It makes our image a list of things. It's a checklist to tell if you're pretty or not, to tell if your value is worth a whole lot. Love and compassion can't be bought. They are human emotions that exist regardless of whether or not they call you beautiful. Because we are all beautiful. These women weren't perfect. Far from that. But it is the emotions that we assume they lack. Beauty is not a magical shield. It is not a powerful sword to wield. And we all break the same. These people were a slave to their fame. No one is immune to hardship and strife, but we are all here. We have this life. Screw the list. Throw it out. We are far better off without. Don't let your value be determined by a list of characteristics on the page. Free yourself from the invisible cage of beauty.